So the music that we've been playing here, it's kind of soft, but this is Tchaikovsky's Mazeppa, which is apparently a Cossack dance. So today we are playing. Let's adjust the volume here a little bit. We are playing Europa Universalis 4 with the new The Cossacks expansion. If you don't know, the Cossacks are kind of a people from this area around here, thereabouts, and they are kind of famous for their horsemen. There's kind of an association with the kind of the Mongol hordes and that kind of thing. So, yeah, this is kind of what they sort of look like traditionally. But anyway, we are playing EU for the Cossacks, and it is let's get rid of that. Just out today, lots of new features, pretty cool stuff. So yeah, let's dive right into it. I want to spend a little bit of time just in the setup here, and one slight adjustment here. Okay, there's the EU4 music that we know and love. Okay, so one of the new features is the random new world was something they added in Conquest of Paradise, but not a lot of people used it because it was kind of terrible. So in this expansion, they have apparently done a lot of work in how it generates the new world. The idea here is that it's going to randomize the new world, because when you go over and discover the new world as a European country in this game, you know where everything is because, well, you know, or at least most people know. You can look it up too. But with a random new world, the idea is that it would give you the feeling of actually discovering the new world, because it's going to be different every time you do it. So as you can see, by default, when you do a random new world and you start the game, it doesn't let you see it. So you kind of have to pick a country over here. And then when you get the appropriate technology, you can explore out here and see what's out there. But just to see what this thing is going to look like, this random generator, we are going to turn off the Terra Incognita so that we can see what is going on, and we can see how they generate these new worlds. So the first one we see, this is actually pretty cool. This would be a very interesting one to play as, because if you kind of go straight out, you will basically miss everything in the new world. Head straight over here to Asia. So let's take a look. We've got towards Africa, we got a little island here. It's kind of a familiar looking island. I don't know why. And you can see the names here are kind of randomized and a little bit weird at times. I think there's some tongue-in-cheek stuff going on as far as that goes, and they've also made the Native American nations kind of randomized too. So these are not, because before what had happened in the random generator is it would take all the nations that were there and kind of plop them elsewhere, and the province names would just be the same but moved around. So you'd have like Florida right next to Peru or something ridiculous like that. So I think this is a bit better to have these sort of randomized names. And I think, you know, since the El Dorado expansion, custom nations have been a thing, so you haven't been limited to the same nations that are in the base game. This is very cool because this is very close up here. Now these guys, I don't know much about them. They're a Chinese tribe way up there. So yeah, this almost kind of looks like a second Europe, if you ask me. This whole section here, at least as far as all the kind of peninsula-y things coming together. It's sort of like an Iberian Peninsula, and you've got your little peninsulas hanging off here. That's just what I think. And you get Black Sea and Caspian Sea and that kind of thing. It looks a lot like a little Europe. And we've got this chain here. And yeah, so I think this would be pretty fun to play. As you can see, it's kind of dispersed the native populations. Most of them are here in the south, actually, in this one. And there's a lot of empty land here. So that's pretty cool. So I want to try something else. And you can see when you go back now, it sort of restarts the game. And that's to make sure you don't get all sorts of crazy weirdness going on. Because occasionally this game would like carry over information from one game to the next, and it would kind of mess you up. So this way it basically resets everything to the defaults, and that way you can mess them up again. So now let's go to the options here. I want to try this one out. This is an option that I saw to control the chance of fantasy elements such as highly advanced native empires to appear in the random new world. So that sounds fun. Let's make that like frequent and see if that will do something crazy. Let's see what sort of weirdness, because I would imagine that this sort of weirdness is going to be stuff that they've pre-programmed to make it, to make it kind of a fantasy type of thing. Because otherwise, you can't really procedurally generate fantasy tropes and things like that. So let's take a look and see what we see here. I think the Terra Incognita is actually still off from before. So let's see what we have here. Whoa! Look at that. That is nuts. So there's this little section here, which, pretty big island, when you think Australia for that kind of size. Big islands. And then we've got what looks like, yeah, these are going to be Mesoamerican, not terribly advanced there. Of course, that's a republic. High American. Oh, so this is an advanced race here, or country. They have their own custom ideas as well. United in faith, yearly prestige, castrumentation. Ugh. And then I imagine that this one is also High American. That is pretty cool. Sapa Inca Coilus. So these guys, the burning ideas. Look at that. Legitimacy. This is a cool country here, actually. I mean, in reality, like, when you're playing, you might not want to be this nation because for hundreds of years you won't really have any actual rivals and really anyone that you can actually attack either, because these guys are all down here. So you just kind of slowly colonize everything. Then when Europeans, or I guess possibly, sometimes China can do colonization as well. When they make it over here, they're like, whoa, what's that? So yeah. And this is interesting because there's like only one. It looks like can you get through here? Is this another High American? No. So these are kind of like the unadvanced ones. That would be an interesting dynamic. So you can get through here just like that. That is pretty interesting. Okay, let's do it again. See what happens here. I bet there's other sort of fantasy elements. I'm just curious to see what they are. Okie dokie. Just one more time, I think. And then we'll go into the game. The question is, who should I be playing? So if you have any ideas, put it in the chat. I don't think I want to do a custom nation, but I may actually play with a randomized new world, but not see it at the time. Okay. So this is very little land, actually. We've got Mesoamerican here, also here. Okay, and there's a high American culture, a Norse Vinland kingdom. That's very similar to Great Britain there. Okay, so let's go back then.